But there's something the men say. There's sometimes when women are talking, men should just leave that kind of conversation alone. When women have misunderstandings with each other, whether it's a woman or someone referring to the woman and saying that it's because one party is jealous of the other, it's disgusting. It's trivializing the issue. It's disrespectful, and particularly when it's coming from a man, he would have done himself a favor by keeping quiet. He should have held her hand and kept it mute. It wasn't a very intelligent addition to the conversation. It really just kind of played it down into the gutter and made it very childish. When Sidney said, "Yo," she turned to the guys like, "Y'all need to check him. One of y'all need to check him." Yeah, one of them should have checked him. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is LolaAjisafe here. I've been gone a couple days. Yeah, I'm gonna use, cousin nephew, Uncle Tommy. Alright, let's stop playing. Nephew Tommy, we're gonna use his same moniker. Yeah, COVID got me, y'all. That's all I have to say. COVID got me. Feeling better. I'm back. I'm gonna hit these videos, so we're gonna hit these videos. First video we're doing right now is Ready to Love. This is the reunion episode. We're ready at the reunion. Can you imagine that? We're here at the reunion. Nephew Tommy's not gonna make it. We have a lovely lady, Tanika Ray. My concern off the rip is accountability. But before we go into it, first of all, I'm going to thank everyone. We're still in a new year. Thank you for all your well wishes. I'm doing better. You can see I feel like I sound better, but I'm not sure. I feel I sound better, but it is what it is. But I'm here. Yes, I was positive. Yes, I was sick. I was like, the asymptomatic COVID. Nah, gee, your girl was sick. I was sick, but I'm here. I'm just going to recap this episode and see what happens, see how it goes. But before we start, don't forget to like the video. Like I said, the algorithm loves the likes. This video is going to be late, so do your best to like the video so you can get to see it. Don't forget to drop a word. Tell me what you think. There isn't that much to say, but let's see how it goes. And of course, don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, stop checking up with me and hit the subscribe button. All right, let's go straight into it. So the first thing we go into is the Sean piece. Sean, they address him first. I don't know if anyone noticed, and I want to say I've been off the grid, so I don't know if anyone's talked about this, but the lighting was horrible. Sean looked red. He looked like Red Man. I don't know. So first of all, lighting, and that brings me to another thing. You also saw the Vogue cover. I think it was European Vogue. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Vogue cover. It's lovely to have beautiful black woman on the cover. But why would they need to light us like this? Like, I don't have a big budget, but I got a light. They could have used my light. Just because we're black doesn't mean we need to look like monotone color. There's the undertones to our color. I'm not a makeup artist, so I can't start telling you what the colors look like, but they just made them look like one color. And the biggest thing I always talk about when we talk about people with melanin is how color looks beautiful against our skin. Like, why'd they have those ladies in no color? Thank you for doing a cover. This should have happened, but thanks for doing a cover. But why didn't you put your heart into it? Like, why you do a cover and don't experiment with color and good lighting? Let's do better. But back to the show. So back to the show. The lighting seemed to be a little off. But anyway, we go into the Sean piece. Sean's talking. I started recapping the episodes after Sean had left. But one thing I did like when I did my little quick, up to date, when I watched everything over a weekend, was I noticed that when it was time for him to go, he was like, hallelujah. And they showed that clip. That's what I thought was endearing. I kind of liked it because it is a stressful process. I haven't been through it, but I understand it's a stressful process. And I got to a point where for him, he was no longer concerned as to, okay, I want to last till the end. He's like, this is not working for me. I'm not going to get what I need from this. And it's likely the woman who's for me is not amongst these ladies. So why am I still here? And he just said, hallelujah. I love that. I love that scene. I love to talk to him about it. But I mean, I think he's a bit of a comedian. He's an actor, he's a writer. So he was able to, I thought he presented himself as well as he could. He strikes me as more of like an introvert. He can be extroverted, but he's not someone who goes into the room as his cohort is. It was both him and Sidney who was thrown into the mix after some connections had been made. So it didn't work out great for him, but still, I thought he looked great the way he came and he left. He was honest. That's what I want to say, because there was a part where he was talking about not wanting to hurt Sabrina, and I get what he was saying. It's like, I don't want to start something if I'm very clear that this is what I want and I want to do this, and I'm hoping that you change your, like, yeah, let's not start something on a hope. So it made sense what he said, but I guess her friends misunderstood him, and but they've they've mended fences. They understand each other. They're both kind of giving each other a pound. They talk with each other. I think what I've noticed too with the show is that the cast do, for the most part, the cast do keep a good close, knit group with themselves, because it's a unique experience, I guess. Because I don't know if I'd sign up. Not even I don't know. I want to sign up to do find a love on TV for your entertainment. So I guess because it's such a unique experience, it bonds them together past, filming and everything else. So, they give his little packet, and I say he did the best he could, At least we're aware he has a book. I think it's called Broke, if I remember correctly. I'd love to know what that book is about. Yeah, I want to delve more into Sean. You hopefully get to chat with him sometime or another. But so the Sean packet goes by. We go next into, so we go into the Sidney packet. And of course, they play the clip of in million words. Wet My Whistle. What was it? What's that group that sang that song? Wet my whistle, dun, dun, when I get your lips, girl. Do, do, do. Anyway, damn, they're not coming to me right now, but they'll come. Whispers. That was it. It was a Whispers, right? So that's how old the song is. So, has Daddy been playing that music around or something? Because wet my whistle, I don't know. Like, it's not a word that people use much, is it? But anyway, we cracked a little joke about that. Long and short is, they are still dating, and they're dating exclusively. That's good to hear. Because the truth is, we like to hear good news, right? I'm glad to hear this. They're still dating. It's already they're doing better than half of the couples already, right? They're already doing better than half the couples. They're still dating. It's reunion now. I don't know if they're dating today, but as of filming the reunion, Phil and Sidney are still dating. That's good. She looked nice. She was in all black, and he was wearing some Gary Glitter jacket. I don't know if I like that on him, but it is what it is. All right, so they decide to jump right into things. So jumping right into things, I think we're starting with Camille. Camille and Cornelius are sitting together, and I'm not really crazy about their outfit choice, but I guess maybe on paper it seemed like a great idea. I mean, they've got the colors, but I don't know. Maybe I'll see more in part 2, but I wasn't excited by what I saw. Like I said, I like colors, but not just to do colors, just to do colors. Cut and style are important, and I wasn't particularly crazy about Cornelius's jacket or even her top. It was a dress, boosty style, but yeah, it is what it is. And like I said, the lighting, you couldn't really. I don't think I can make any comments about women's hair or makeup because the lighting was bad. Something was not right. Let me put it like that. Something was not right. So in fairness to them, I'm not even going to mention their faces or whatever it looked like, because the lighting was not good at all. And yeah, I want to say this is the first that we've had issues like that. But let's keep this going. So they show us a clip of I don't know if it's never been seen before. Of, Camille talking with Dante about her different personalities. She's got Camille, then she's got Olivia, then she's got Shay Shay. This is her playing up. I guess she says she's entertaining. She does admit that some of her antics are for entertainment and for camera time. I think we did know this with the faces. We knew she was doing this to be entertaining, but I don't. Well, I guess people think different. I don't think you should be entertaining at the expense of your castmates, because we have said this is an unusual and can be a tough experience. So yeah, so there does seem to be some divide between Cornelius, Camille, and the rest of the Cornelius, Cornelius, and Zadia is them, and then the divide with the rest of the cast. And so, she's admitting that, yes, she was, sarcastic, she a little crazy. I don't know, she agreed to the fact that she'd been possessive, or was a tad, I know they don't use the aggressive word, but she was doing a little too much, particularly with her fellow contestants, the women. She was doing too much. I don't know if she acknowledged to that, at least not yet. She hasn't acknowledged that she was doing too much. But there is talk, the big scene where we all had them, it was the Last Supper at the place. I've forgotten where this place was, Last Supper, where, she was a little too cocky, forgetting that her her fate was in the hands of her colleagues when she said this is not ready to be confused, this is ready to love, and that they'd meet at the reunion, and that if anybody voted off Cornelius, she would beep them up, like yeah, whatever she threatened. Like, I think most people have played that clip 1,000 times, but she came to the reunion to dispute that occurring. I don't know why. Even after they did a replay, I don't know why. Maybe we'll hear more about this. But anyway, she disputes that she said that. I have nothing for you about this lady. Nothing. Like, I feel like she's still playing a game. It's fun and games to her. Um, she doesn't really seem to care how she might have come across or how she looks. Yes, some of her antics might have been, funny, ha ha ha, but maybe not funny to her colleagues or her fellow contestants. I don't know. Those of us watching, I don't think most of, and in the beginning, I did think her antics were funny, the funny faces, and we're gonna have beautiful brown babies. But then when it went a little to the left, and then became a little bit mean, then I don't think the rest of us found it amusing, particularly at that Last Supper. So yeah, I know. She said it was all fun and games. I've had someone jump in my comments on one of the videos like, I don't know Camille, well, maybe the person knows her. I don't know her, but yeah, it seemed a little too much. But different strokes for different folks. That's what makes the world go round. I think so far, I might be speaking too soon because we still have one more session left. But it's kind of sad that Nephew Tommy couldn't make the live because there's an accountability that he brings because he's been with them and he's part of the show structure that they weren't able to really sit with. So it's like, sometimes when you're a parent and you have a babysitter come by, kids can get away with a little bit murder, especially if it's a new babysitter. And this was one season where we really needed like a bit of a strong hand, to be honest with you. We needed a bit of strong hand. So right now it feels like there wasn't really much accountability, because how does, Camille come off talking about she didn't say that. She didn't say she was going to bleep them up if they voted, Cornelius off. I don't know. So right now I'm not seeing much accountability. There's no resolution to the story. We saw some bad behavior, no repentance or apologies, just more antics. At least from what I'm seeing from part one. I'm not really saying, guys, I could have done this, I could have done, no. Just like more feeding the fire even more for some reason. We do see that Shiloh's a no-show. I have not yet, I don't know if they made any mention on this episode yet as to why she's not there. I guess she chose not to show. I don't know. It was probably best because it's such a sensitive topic. I don't know if it's something that you want to break down in front of a bunch of people, both for positive or negative review. Guess where it's going to be left unsaid, but I really feel like in a private scenario, that should be a conversation that should be had. Not more for their story, but more for us using that story to piggyback on anybody having any kind of similar experience. All right, so we're going to next. We're going straight with Cornelius packet. They're talking about him, her comments, calling him a country bumpkin, that he didn't really understand when women are coming towards him. Did he get it? Like when she was talking down to him. She has apologized, I think, both on the show, both, I guess, via social media. The apology has been made. I guess my opinion on that is, I think, yeah, we do make mistakes, but I think when there's a certain level of disrespect displayed, in my humble opinion, when there's a certain amount of disrespect displayed, it makes me question how much did you really like him? Because my opinion, there's a woman requires love, a man requires respect with that love. So that's how I see it. Like, he said it not just to his face, but also for general consumption for everyone to see. but an apology has been placed, and we there is room for forgiveness. But it seems like, yeah, there's an apology, but I don't know. Like, really, it's just to wait and see really what's going on. I don't think we really understand much. Sabrina had more to say on this episode about the two. And I think actually not just Sabrina. I do believe Sidney also said something about, well, they really feel that Cornelius wasn't able to really explore with the other ladies, and they feel like he had some regret, which he said. But then again, I don't know. They've done his packet, but there was no video to back that up, because when he was leaving, and when Camille self-eliminated, he had said that he regretted how he played it. He didn't know what was going to happen to them in the future, and he wished he'd played it differently. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to pull that clip for you now, but if you go to that video, I do believe I have that, where, where she self-eliminated, he got eliminated. I played the clip where he said that. He said he wished he played it differently. He did say that. But even though the ladies are saying that, they feel that he wished, they're not corroborating what they're saying with a video to show that this is what he said. And that would have made more sense to, question him further, put his feet to the fire, and put Camille's feet to the fire. Like, okay, you guys are giving us one narrative, but we're only picking stuff based on what you said and what you've done. And he did express some regret playing it the way he did. But yet, there's been no accountability yet. Like, okay, you said this, what you mean by this? So it's kind of sad that Nephew Tommy's not here today to... Yeah, because if this was one season that required some sternness, this would be the season, because things did kind of run amok. And even as we unravel things, I don't know what what part 2 is going to show, but as you unravel things were running amok. Clearly, Aisha, Courtney, Sabrina were trying to address, like, just the way they felt Camille had played the game. They did use the word aggressive, and honestly, if the word's been used appropriately, I don't have a problem with you talking about someone's behavior and using the word aggressive. If you're being aggressive, then what other word do you want to use? I don't like us being this extra sensitive place where, oh, we can't say these things anymore because it's a black... I think we need to pull back. Like, everything is all... Yeah, we're doing too much. Like, all of a sudden you want us to speak a completely different language. I mean, it's English. And this is what this word means. And if you do that, now you could say you can't... Yeah. So I do understand that sometimes it can be a sensitive word to use, but if the behavior fits the action, then we really need to call a thing a thing. That's just my personal opinion. Like, the behavior they experienced as aggressive, then let them call it what they believe it was. That's what it was. That was the experience of it. So it's like, here we are trying to dictate what their experience was by trying to demand that they use different words. Now, I do get, Carrie's exchange. She was saying that, no, I showed interest. I wasn't aggressive. I get it. I love the way, Tyrone cleaned it up. Like, yeah, there was nothing wrong with you, but I had a bigger interest in Shiloh at the time, so I went with Shiloh. And he went with his gut. You can only respect that. Once again, that was a nice little... That's what I'm saying, like, cleaning up. That's the whole purpose of the reunion episode, is to clean up, be accountable for things that you wish you had done differently, and you can address it. Because at the end of the day, we just want to reconcile, put things together, make sense of things. You don't have to be, buddies at the end of it, but I think when there's a mutual respect, and like, okay, I get it, I see where you're coming from, I may not agree with you, but I get it. That is the purpose of a reunion, is just to reconcile some things you may not have known were going on at the time, and then you find out that they are going on. I digress. All right, so we go into the Brown Girl Squad segment. And so, to bring this up again, so we can talk about this and dead this. Or maybe not. I don't know if they're going to bring it up in part 2. Because I don't know if it was a clean way to... We didn't dead this clean. I miss you, Nephew Tommy. We need to dead this clean. But, alright, so we talk about Brown Girl. Why was Brown Girl Squad created? So how was it started? What was, the whole thing? So, before they even put their words together, I do believe that, it was just started as a moniker, something cute, something fun. I don't think they were trying to be colorist, honestly. I don't think so. I'm not one of their greatest fans or anything. And I wasn't there with them. I don't think they were trying to. They just it was just trying to be cute, right? That's going on. And my question at the time when I first heard this was like, okay, I don't know if grass women need, come up with a moniker to feel good about themselves. But then Zadia explains that they took a picture and then they loved the way the melanin looked, and so they called themselves Brown Girl Squad. So that's not the issue. Brown Girl Squad is not the issue for me. It was what they had associated with that after the fact that became an issue. The behavior, trying to be exclusive, cutting people off, being very cliquish, being disrespectful, really not representing brown girls in a positive light, really, based on the behavior they displayed or the behavior that was shown to us. You know, that's my issue with Brown Girl Squad. At this point, Sabrina said, you know what, I don't know if this is how I felt about it. Was I too light? Was Aisha not dark enough? Was Shiloh like, so the other ladies who would exclude is like, okay, we were thinking, could this be do something with our shade? We just didn't hit the mark with y'all. And on top of that, you guys were very mean and nasty and unkind to us. So it didn't help, kind of separating yourselves and being mean as well, as opposed to coming together as women, which would have been a better look by using that name. And that's what the reunion is for. You have some issue with something, you deal with it, you face it. Like, that's the reunion. It's not meant to be like, it's meant to be like the Hunger Games, It's meant to be it's meant to be a classy version of the Hunger Games. That's what the reunion is. You say something fresh in your confessional, and I'm going to ask you about it. That's what reality TV is about, because the one thing you don't see, the other confessionals, you don't see the stuff, the other conversations they have. They don't get to see any cuts until we see the cuts, from what I understand, I'm told. So if they see something fresh, you'd make a note of it so you can address it. Like, let's address it. Like, so when you guys are doing all this brand girl stuff, like, why? Like, why were you so unkind with the way you guys approached everything? And honestly, the ladies didn't have anything to say. They could only tell us why they formed it, but they could not even explain the unkindness that the other ladies experienced from them. Got to a point where Zadia, who was, apparently is, fighter, UFC fighter, could not defend herself verbally and walked off. Like, the fire was too hot for her to handle. Her feet were burning at the crisp fire, and so the heels weren't protecting her. She had to get up and walk away. I don't know. Like, when I say this was, we said this is season 5. Like, you and I know this is season 5. At this point, the reunion isn't just about a pretty dress. It's about showing up, facing whatever questions you need to face, and giving some of your cast members some questions you might have about something slick they might have said about you. That's what the reunion is about. That's the whole thing. Like, that's all. Like, I'm not looking at reunion to see if your hair has grown since the season started. I'm not looking at reunion to see if you have acne now or you didn't have acne. No, we're not. We're just trying to correlate the story and bring some closure to it, to some completeness. That's the purpose. So, I mean, Zadia look nice. That's all I can say. Like, she didn't really have anything to offer. She walked away. She couldn't say anything, I don't know. Maybe she didn't want to be caught arguing again. But I feel, or I wish, she had had time to reflect and think about, how others may have perceived her actions, her behavior, her words. I wish Camille had done that too, and been able to reflect on it and maybe give us some insight as to why they came across like that. I think that's what adults do. Like, sometimes it may not be your intent, but when you look at yourself and you see how people are perceiving what you've done, then you'll be able to, like, that's not what I meant by this. But yeah, there really wasn't any accountability, to be honest. Yeah, it was just like, I came here to look pretty. That's it. Yeah. Nephew Tommy, you were missed. Like, Miss Tanika Ray, I believe her name is, lovely lady, but she doesn't have the history with the show or the history with these contestants to really drill them. They needed to be drilled. And when I say drill, I don't mean like hit, but just really kind of hold them Like, no, you did this. Please explain why. Yeah, like just some more pressure. There wasn't pressure really applied, and understandably so. She's a guest. You can't go to somebody's house, and I mean, some people can, and some people don't. But just comfortably, you don't just off the cuff just walk in someone's house and just like take charge. It doesn't really work out like that. So that was my concern off the cuff when I saw that. Oh, we have a different host because Nephew Tommy's not feeling well. Are we going to really get the answers we want? Because I think as humans, we like resolution. We don't always get it. So this just feels right now. I'm in the middle. I'm just like, I don't feel stuff is resolved. It's not done yet. We haven't talked about the Donta and the Zadia piece. Are they going to talk about it? Shiloh's not here, so we're not going to discuss, this, Things aren't going to be discussed. They're just going to be left up in the air. And they're also going to start quick with a quick new season. Like, I think they said the 28th is a new season where they are doing it. Potomac is what we're still doing. It's this DC area, right? So quickly, they're trying to pretend this season didn't happen. Is that what they're doing? It's so quick. Right, so we'll go to Frank and Moomin. Surprise. All right, so we concluded that I felt Frank decided to go with Moomin because he felt Sidney was going to choose Phil, and we felt that Moomin had decided to go with Frank because of that misunderstanding she'd had with Walter and hadn't really been able to explore it and really break it down appropriately to her benefit. She, gotten upset and never really recovered from getting upset with Walter. In my opinion, I felt they could have dealt with that a completely different way. I don't know if they're going to deal with that. That would really have been nice to I've looked back on that scene. I saw myself. And he looked back on that scene and saw himself, and maybe Moomin saying, I probably shouldn't have said that to you, I'm sorry. Uncle Walter has said as much with my good sis Crystal that he felt like the Brown Girl Squad had something to do with that opinion she had. Fair enough. So he was a little irritated by the whole thing anyway, but he felt that opinion came via them. But just Moomin, like I said, I like the lady. She just, there's something about her energy. I'm an energy person, of course. So something about her energy it just seems real chill. So I feel like I would love to know what Moomin thinks after looking back on that after some time. How does she feel she could have approached it? For any of those young ladies out there. Because I don't think anyone's going to come up and say it's the easy thing to go through. Because I just say, I'm not doing it for y'all. I'm not going to go on a dating show to entertain y'all. So we know it's not an easy experience. But the question now is, how would she have approached it, knowing what she knows now? Because I feel like if she had been dealt a different way, we may have had a different result. That is human relationships, though. But, and the beauty of this is like learning, what did I do wrong? So when I'm faced with this situation again, have I learned that lesson to approach it and attack it a way that will work for me? Because I feel like literally as soon as she had that misunderstanding with Walter, she just went to Frank. Whereas Frank wasn't necessarily her. I don't think he was her front runner. He was cool and everything. They had things in common, but he wasn't her front runner until that misunderstanding. So yeah, I would have loved to have seen that. I don't know if it will still happen. There's still another part 2 coming, but yeah, that would have been a nice thing to break down. So they're talking about the Moomin and Frank, relationship. Apparently there is no relationship. As soon as filming ended, they ended. What does that remind us of, guys? I give you one clue. Mr. Calfani and Adriana. It reminds me of that. Like literally, they left the show and nothing happened. Yeah, they might as well just did what Sabrina did. Then walked up to each other in a nice outfit and just had a conversation. Said it's not gonna work. I don't know. Maybe Frank wanted. I don't know. It looks like Moomin was open to trying out, a relationship, at least conversation, meeting up. But Frank did not even give it a chance. So Frank felt like that. Could he have just walked up to her and had the kind of conversation Sabrina had? I don't know. Maybe he felt bad rejecting her. turning someone down tastefully and respectfully is not an easy job. So it was easier for him to say yes. I don't know. Did he know he didn't want to? He said he went into some therapy, and Frank talks like he's very verbose, speaks beautifully, puts his words together lovely. Says a lot. But yeah, all I gather is that he felt he needed to decompress from the experience. I don't know if something else happened. That's why I feel like there's some context missing. The clues missing. I did watch his interview with my sis Crystal, but I still feel like there's some context missing. Like all of a sudden nothing, and then you just did 14 weeks of therapy, and that's it. Y'all are just gonna be best of friends. Was it? Did he just feel uncomfortable facing Moomin and saying, you know what? I don't choose you. You don't want to be the bad guy. Like I said, rejecting someone respectfully is not an easy thing to do. See, I always say, not that I have experience in it or anything, but I've always said that I believe that a man should pursue and not a woman. That's just my personal opinion. That's what I prefer for myself. Other women may feel differently. So I like to believe that when I've turned people down in the past, I've been respectful with it because I understand the work it requires to walk up to someone and open up and say, I like you. And so if somebody does that, the only thing you can do for them that's honest and fair is to be as respectful if you're not interested, or maybe even not sure, give it a chance, but be very clear, not just string someone along. I don't know. So I don't know if that was it, or if he just found like there's some context missing once again, like where we could have really hammered home to get some more insight. There's some insight missing here. I just see that, definitely Moomin is still confused as to what happened, Frank. Show stopped filming, we ended, and that was it. She's definitely hurt by that. And he seems puzzled as to why we're looking for more information. Yeah. Alright, so we go into this another segment of the Last Supper scene. They show, how everything, the breakdown, how everything happened, the exchange that Zadia and Aisha were having. Clearly see, you see Phil and you see Donta go to Aisha, just usher her away. It's like, let's not do this. Let's not have let the disagreement not escalate. So two men walk off with her and take her away. And Naeem decides during this segment that he figured he wouldn't talk and say something. He's been gone a minute, and when he left with my respect, and he's back now. He's trying to take away that respect I have for him. Like he's trying to snatch it away, because sometimes, and I don't want to trivialize this, but there's something the men say. There's sometimes when women are talking, men should just leave that kind of conversation alone. And when there's a certain tone of conversation, so my good bro Naeem says that he believes that some of the misunderstanding that occurred at that table towards Zadia, because they were, Miss Ray Tanika was mentioning that, Zadia, why were you talking about, Aisha not having connections? She clearly had connections, as you can see, blah, 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 blah. And Naeem, for he'll come out here, string things together like his younger sister had written a script for him, because really it's a very feminine thing to say. And when I say this, I mean like what he's implying is he's saying, and that's such a cheap thing to reach for when there's a when women have misunderstandings with each other, whether it's a woman or someone referring to the woman and saying that it's because one party is jealous of the other. It's disgusting. It's trivializing the issue. It's disrespectful, and particularly when it's coming from a man, he would have done himself a favor by keeping quiet. He should have held her hand and kept it mute. Cause now he trying to be an additional member of the Brown Girl Squad, and sir, you left with some respect. Now you're just trying to dismantle the little respect you left with, because it's not just that you spoke; it's the way you spoke that was the issue. Like I said, if you start going back down to issues about jealousy, because he's saying that some of these issues occurred because at one of the deliberations, he said 7 or 8 out of men had chosen Zadia. I wasn't aware of it. I don't know. I don't know if y'all remember. I don't remember it. But the point here is, yeah, a lot of the time the women don't always know. Sometimes they may know. Okay, so they may know what's going on. But when you look at the misunderstanding at the table and people having issue with Zadia or with the conversation that was being had, it had issues with the particular way things were being dealt at that moment. And Kerry appropriately said it had to do with respect or the lack thereof. So why does Uncle Naeem have to bring up stuff about, yeah, the girl's probably jealous of, honestly, Naeem and Zadia suit each other. They suit each other at this point. Yeah, because, yeah, that was left field. It was completely unnecessary. Made no sense. It wasn't a very intelligent addition to the conversation. It really just kind of played it down into the gutter and made it very childish. I don't know if this is what made Tasia walk off, but I figured Tasia, the whole purpose of the reunion is to rehash these issues. So I understand you might be going through something, but just walking off because you just felt like it was played out. I mean, you did leave early on in the season, so I understand your frustration. So you didn't really have that much to iron out. But that's the whole purpose of the reunion, iron this stuff out. I love when Sidney said, yo, she turned to the guys like, y'all need to check him. One of y'all need to check him. Yeah, one of them should have checked him. Maybe they just didn't want to get involved because they tried to. And then, of course, Frank had been kind of, in the middle list or something, so he wasn't ready to put himself on the burner for anyone. So, yeah, Naeem so far went unchecked. He should have been checked because it's not his place. This conversation, he didn't have anything constructive, and not because I disagree with him, but trying to pit women against each other for something so trivial and insulting. So you're essentially insulting us as women that we can't see past our own personal jealousies over men. I'm annoyed by that inference and that reference, and just stringing those words together. Like, did you spend a couple months thinking about that so you could come and say that on the show? Like, yeah. You need to be checked. Truth is, was Zadia jealous of, Dante's attentions turning to Aisha? But I'm not even going to say that. I'm not going to trivialize. It's just this insulting. It wasn't, Naeem had nothing to say here. He should just been quiet. And so here we are. We've kind of got to the end of the part 1 reunion. Like I said, didn't get a lot of accountability. Some of the deflect, like Naeem just came all the way up here like with something fresh. Cornelius and Camille didn't really cop to what we feel they needed to cop to. Zaida, they had none to say. So it doesn't seem like anybody has spent some time reflecting. Because I think when we watch reality shows, sometimes, we don't always, as people, behave the way we would like to. But I think what we call good resolution and having come to having a moment is just how the way Tyrone readdressed Kerry. Like, that's what I mean. Like, just think, I thought about it and this is what I should have said. Just cleaning it up. Like, I'm not saying you have to clean up for the camera, but that just shows us you've had time to think about it. And I can only respect that. I mean, that's it. I can only respect that. Like, I can respect his approach. And that's kind of what we're looking for. Like, yo, man, I did that. Probably could have done it differently. And that's it. Because I don't think there's one way to do something. But you can always respect when someone has a moment of self-reflection and turns around and says, you know what, I could have done that differently. Because that teaches us that, that person did that on camera. So we could definitely do that in our real life. That's the whole purpose of, this. Like I say, when we're watching reality shows, watching all these things, we want to use these things to hammer home some real life lessons. But hey, we're at the end of part 1. Guys, thanks for checking with me. I know this video's late, but I'm back, getting back into the saddle. So appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you all next week with a new let's see what's going on, see what's up. But thanks for watching. Lola, over and out.